Hey there guys, what's going on? Slappy here with another Free-to-Play Friday video, the series where we take a look at free-to-play games and talk some pros, some cons, a little bit of a review. This week we're talking about Dirty Bomb, which is in beta right now. It's been in beta for a while, it's been in development for quite a while. I played it probably a year and a half ago, it's come a long way in that distance, and it's a really cool game. And before we start talking about the pros and the cons, I realized a lot of the pros and the cons are about the actual gameplay, so I thought maybe it'd be best to describe the game a little bit. So, Dirty Bomb is a free-to-play, sort of fast-paced shooter that is kind of a hero shooter slash sort of your traditional FPS. It's a team-based objective game modes, which is really cool. Basically, you have a hero or a character that you're playing that has a gun and a perk. So, you know, there's one character that has an assault rifle and can call it an airstrike and also puts down ammo packs. There's one that has an SMG and can drop health packs. There's one that has sort of an assault rifle and can drop a turret. So there's a bunch. Basically, every character has its own sort of play style and uniqueness. And in each game, you can go in with a loadout that has 3 different characters that you can switch between whenever you die in-game. But you can't switch outside of those 3 payloads you go into the game with. And that's sort of Dirty Bomb. It's a really fun game. I actually really recommend this one. I really enjoyed playing it. I think I might even keep it on my hard drive because I enjoy it quite a bit. But let's get into sort of my pros and cons of Dirty Bomb. So the pros, there's really good depth in this game, and there's a lot of difference to the characters. So each of the characters have their own perk, have their own gun, and they play very differently. And I really like that. You know, I was in maps, I was playing different characters, and I was like, wow, each of these makes me adjust how I actually play. And it turns out there's a ton of strategy switching between characters. You know, there's certain maps where you come around the corner, all of a sudden it's this huge straightaway, switch to a sniper rifle. There's some areas where it's basically a free-for-all in a very small space, you know, switch to the shotgun. So it's really interesting, and with only having 3 heroes per game, it actually gets pretty strategic as to, excuse me, what 3 you actually want in your loadout when you load into a game. So it's really cool like that. And there's very different between the characters, which is kind of nice. There's also actually a competitive mode in this game, which I think would even get more strategic, which is pretty neat. The maps are really well designed. They have a lot of routes. They look fairly good. The entire theme of this game is this super modern Dirty Bomb, the chemical warfare, I guess. But it's super modern. I think everything is in London. You know, you go to the London Underground. There's one with a cathedral sort of in the middle of the city. And it's all covered in tarps, and there's, you know, people in gas masks and stuff. The sort of overall theme, the look of this game is really cool. I really enjoy that sort of modern, slightly futuristic sort of thing. It's kind of a cool area of the world to play in. But the maps are really well designed. There's lots of routes to go around. You can get to the high ground, you can sneak around and flank. The nice thing about the maps, though, is they're not enormous, but they're not small. They're a lot bigger than sort of a COD map, but smaller than sort of a Battlefield map. But the maps are really well designed, especially with the objectives in mind, but also just with being able to get around. Another nice thing about it, though, is you don't need to put hundreds of hours into the game to actually get the map knowledge. Once you play a map 2 or 3 times, because of the size and how they're designed, you're like, okay, I understand the map. I'm not going to get crushed every time now. But the first few times you play a map, you'll probably get shot in the back a few times. But the maps are really well designed. The objective-based gameplay is really cool. Each map sort of has its own objective structure. So there's one map called the Dockyard, where basically you transport a payload, you have to fix a truck, and then transport the truck through the city. And the other team could shoot down the truck, and you have to keep repairing it or kill them. Other maps are more similar to the Rush game mode at Battlefield, where there's basically somebody trying to plant C4 and explode it. You can defuse it or just defend it. And the objectives are really well done within the maps themselves, but it also makes you work as a team, which is really cool. It's what I like in shooter games. It's why I like Battlefield more so than other shooters, because I find it's very team-based. You know, you need a team push to actually get anything done. And that's really cool. The guns feel quite good, and the different perks also feel good. I already talked about how each character has its own sort of gun and style of play. I got the hiccups like crazy today. But the guns feel good, the gunplay feels good. If you shoot a guy in the head, it actually hits him in the head. You know, it doesn't veer off like some of the other free-to-play games. The guns feel good, the gunplay feels good, and the characters feel different, which is really cool. The game is relatively attractive. For a free-to-play game, it looks very good. It runs fairly well. Definitely passable as a run game. It runs pretty good, and it looks pretty good. There's a lot of options in the option menu if you like being able to tweak very specific things. But it's very attractive, especially for a free-to-play game. The 3 hero per game with the switching is really cool. It allows for a lot of sort of strategy and changing up your playstyle, which is just kind of nice to have in a game. Now, there is all kinds of heroes. I think there's 20, 25 heroes. I'm calling them heroes because I think that makes it easier to relate to other games. And basically, there's rotating weekly heroes, or you can unlock them with in-game gold, or you can pay for them. So, I don't mind that. I guess that's what makes it a free-to-play game, right? Or else you'd probably pay money. The rotating heroes is cool. You could try ones, you know, every week and buy them if you like them. It's relatively easy to get the in-game gold. If you're playing it consistently, you'll get the gold you need to unlock the heroes you want. So I don't have a huge issue with the in-game gold system having to unlock heroes. You can pay for the heroes, but you don't have to. Anyway, those are some pros. That's a lot of pros. This is a good game. But let's talk about some of the cons. There are some cons. The servers, wherever this is hosted, the North American servers, do get laggy. I have pretty good internet, and I tested it a couple times in this game. I'd be getting really laggy games in a row, so I'd switch to Overwatch. It would run fine. I'd switch to whatever game. It just seems like the servers in this game occasionally just get really laggy, and it'll last about an hour, and then it was fine again, which just kind of sucks. I don't really know if that's anything that has to do with them, but it kind of sucked. The frame rate is pretty inconsistent. You can always sort of get above 30, which I don't mind if it stayed at 30, but when it's switching between 30, it goes up to 90, it goes back to 30, 120. That's when it was like, this is getting a bit ridiculous. There's also a lot of screen tearing. I actually played half the clips you're seeing, I was on high graphics settings, the other half I went to low graphics settings. Graphically, not much of a difference, which I thought was kind of weird. I even restarted the game, because that's what you have to do to change the graphics in this game. The graphics don't look a tremendous amount different, and it didn't really do anything for the frame rate or the screen tearing, so I think that might just be beta stuff. There was some screen tearing coming around corners and stuff, which just kind of sucks, but the music and sound is decent, but not great, and I think it's shooting games. I don't care too much about the music, but you kind of want good sound. Some of the guns sound a little tinny. The sound was meh. It was fine, but not sort of that high level of sound you come to expect with shooting games. The maps are quite similar. There's not too many maps. I know they're adding more and more sort of, you know, monthly here, but there's not too many maps, and they're pretty similar. They're all sort of modern / near future. I think they're all in London. They all use sort of the same color palette, which I don't find terribly uninteresting. I kind of like the color palette, but, you know, after a while playing, you're like, this is pretty similar. They all play pretty similar in terms of how the maps are designed, which I don't have an issue with, but with the same color palette and everything, it kind of feels very repetitive. Finding / getting into a game can take a while, so when you actually queue up for a game, most times it was sort of 2 minutes to get into a game. And it was kind of weird. A lot of times it would sort of load up. You'd see 11 people in the lobby, and then it'd say, one person refused to accept, which is weird because I never had to accept anything. And then it would boot you out and reload everything else. So I think the game making is a bit of an issue. There are some balance issues as well in the game between the different heroes. Some guns are significantly better than others, especially like the sniper rifles. You'll notice anyone who's sort of a higher level in the game, they all use the same sniper. And he just seems to be much more consistent as a sniper. I think any gun game has balance issues that it goes through. But there were some balance issues between the different heroes, the different perks, the different guns. It is what it is. Heroes are also quite expensive to buy with real money. You can buy them with gold, so this is sort of a con that's sort of a asterisk next to it. But I think they're like $7.50 to $10 per hero, which I thought was kind of expensive. I don't know sort of the prices for these things, but that seemed high to me. Anyway, that's basically all the cons I have. It seemed like the pros definitely outweigh the cons in this game. So sort of a final review I have. I had a great time playing this. I'm probably going to keep playing it if I have some free time, because I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a great free-to-play game. It's one of the best free-to-play shooters I've ever played, and I think it does a great job of capturing that team-based sort of objective play that I really enjoy. But it's a great free-to-play shooter. The heroes or characters, they feel different, they feel good, the gunplay feels good. I love that strategy is valued, so is teamwork. It really brings me back to playing Battlefield 4 Rush game mode, which is what I played just so many hours of. I love that sort of vibe of game. I'm really excited to see what the future holds for this game. I actually kind of want to get to level 7 and try the competitive game mode, because I think that could be really fun in this game. It's actually 5v5 instead of 6v6, which I think is going to be interesting. That is one thing I would like to see, maybe bigger maps with bigger, like, it's all 6v6. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe 10v10 or 12v12, but I'm pretty excited to see what it's like. So yeah, it's a great game. It really is, and it's free, which is really cool. And you'll probably see more of it on the channel, because I'm really enjoying myself. Anyway, I will catch you guys next time. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys played Dirty Bomb in the description, if there's any other free games you play that I should check out, or really anything. I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao!
They've grabbed the first detonator. Detonator delivered. Don't let them deliver the second one.